Welcome back. I got a little free time this afternoon, so I'm gonna jump back on this J truck and work on a few things. First, I'm gonna label all these spark plug wires. Then I'm gonna get down here, spray some penetrating oil on these spark plugs, start getting them ready to remove so that I could spray some penetrating oil in there and hopefully get this engine to turn over. Alright, I got those spark plug wires labeled and the spark plugs soaking in penetrating oil. I'm gonna go ahead and start working on getting these tires off, these rims off. I came in the shop to tell you guys this because it's real windy outside. I think I found some tires to go on these wheels, these rims, so I'm gonna get the wheels, I'm gonna get the truck jacked up and the wheels loose so that it's all ready to go. The Jeep is more to the passenger side of this trailer and I can't get this tire off because it's getting caught against the drum and the fender here. So I'm going to grab the skid steer and then lift this whole thing up and probably try to recenter this thing. Worked out pretty good. The truck is now more centered and should have room on both the driver and passenger side to get tires back on once I get the new ones. So that was a little sketch, but not bad. I think it's going to be necessary to break out the power washer again. So look at all the gunk on these drum brakes and leaf springs. So I mean, every corner, so probably need to drag it back out again. Alright, I got these drums all cleaned up. I sprayed all this down, sprayed all the undercarriage as much as I could, pressure washed. You can see all this gunk. So was able to get it all under the bed and stuff. Well, these tires got all up under here, so that was good. Hopefully I should get some rollers on this tomorrow and I can get it off this trailer. And then I can clean this trailer up because it is filthy. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull out all the spark plugs and then we'll see if this engine will turn over. Alright, I got all the plugs out. They came out pretty damn easy. They don't even look all that bad. Did notice these plugs are different than the ones on the driver's side, so that's interesting. Anyways, let's see if this thing will turn over. I'm just gonna set you guys up here. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab this fan and see if this down here will spin. A little bit. And then it stops. If I just work it back and forth here, let's see what happens. Ooh, I can hear things moving. So that transmission might not be in neutral. So let me investigate that. But I hear things moving, so that is a good sign. So this is the shift linkage. There's two rods that go down to the transmission. This one will move, but I can't get the second one to move. Also, I don't know which one does what, so I'm just gonna put these spark plugs back in to cover up the cylinders, and I'm just gonna go in. I'm gonna call it a day in the shop or outside the shop and go in and do a little research on this transmission and see if I can find out what linkage goes where and how it operates. See if we can get everything freed up and moving. I finally got this thing in neutral. We're good. There you go. See that moving free? I can even hear a little compression strokes over here, so I'm gonna go ahead and get a battery hooked up, see if we got some power, and go from there. I hooked up a battery and I got power basically nowhere. No lights, no blinkers, no nothing. I printed out this wiring diagram. I'm gonna start chasing some wires, and if I find out anything, I'll give you all an update. All right, y'all, out here working on the J2000. Got some rollers for it. Look at it, just sitting here in all of its glory. I can't wait to get this thing started. So, I dug into that wiring diagram. There's not a lot to it. This thing doesn't even have a box. There's just no power anywhere. I think that the starter solenoid is bad. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean the grounds, and I'm gonna hook a battery straight to the starter and see if we get any action there, and then go from there. Okay, I cleaned the battery terminals. I cleaned this ground here at the block, and I basically took the starter wire from the solenoid, connected it straight to the positive battery cable. So if I touch this, it should spin, or at least send power to the starter. So let's see. Nothing. Alright, so either the starter's bad, the ground is bad, or maybe the positive connection at the starter is bad. So I'm gonna crawl under the truck and investigate. But first, I'm gonna get out of the dirt. I'm gonna use the skid steer here to pull it over onto the concrete. I really need to get this thing running so I can get it on the lift. Okay, you guys, check this out. I got the starter loose, but there's no room to get it out. So I went on the forums, and apparently the service manual says you have to remove this passenger side exhaust manifold to get the starter out. I thought that was a joke, but this is crazy talk. So then I started looking at the manifold. I don't know if you guys can see. I can't even reach it. Right here, I think this is a missing manifold bolt. And there's another one right, actually two are missing. One here, and another one up here. I don't know if you guys can see this, but one here, one here. See, there's a bolt over there. Let me see if I can get a better angle here. Well, let's try from the top, actually. Okay, let's try this. You can see a bolt here. There should be a bolt here, but it's missing. And then same right here. So maybe the starter went out on this thing, and someone tried to start removing that manifold to get it out, and then was like, F this flipping stinks. So then it got parked, and then I bought it. So I'm just gonna try and pull that manifold and see what happens. I've owned a few Jeeps, and Jeep does some dumb stuff. But this bump stop here, which just goes to the top of the axle, I don't know why. There's a bump stop here. There's a bump stop here. Is this one also necessary? If it didn't exist, I could just drop the starter right out. I don't get it. Well, the good news is that manifold comes off pretty dang easy. So we got this starter. Let's take it to the bench to see if we can test it. Alright, let's get a jumper pack here. Cleaned off the end of the starter, the wire wheel, try and get some good ground. Then I should just be able to give some juice to this terminal and should operate. Baby! We got action! Okay. On second thought, not as pumped. It is spinning, but it's not coming out. So I'm gonna mess with this. Hopefully I can get it to come out. If not, we're back to broken starter. I guess I kind of forced this out. I just pulled on this and it came out, but now it won't slide back in. So I don't know if I messed something up. I don't know what to do now. You can't buy these anymore. So they make a reduction one, but they're like $300. That's like half what I paid for this entire Jeep. Also, probably half what I could get an LS engine for. There's a guy locally that rebuilds starters, but he'll probably charge me $200. And maybe he can just fix it. But do I just pull this thing apart? It's Friday. I ain't got anything better to do. I should probably just pull the starter apart, right? Like, what's the worst that happens? I don't get it back together and then I take it to the starter guy? It seems like I should try, right? Alright, let's go for it. Here's what I think is happening. Do you see these splines? I think when you start the starter, it spins on these splines and it throws this whole piece out. And then when the starter stops, it should go all the way back. But somehow, see, there's still spline showing here. I feel like it should go all the way back to here. And it's stuck. So I don't know how to fix that. I'm gonna go try and YouTube University it. And if I figure out nothing, then I will take this to the starter guy on Monday. Which is a bummer, because I really was hoping to try and get this thing started this weekend. But it's the way it goes sometimes, especially when you're working on a 1966 vehicle. What's this thing, 59 years old? Yeah, it's hard to find parts for these things. I wasn't able to get that starter repaired. I will take it to the local guy here on Monday and hopefully he can fix it. And hopefully it won't cost too much. So speaking of costs, in this video I spent $50 on the tires that are on the truck now. They came on rims, so I had to have them dismounted. Then I also had to have the the tires that were on the truck, dismounted off those rims, and then these tires mounted on these rims. That cost me $120. That was 8 dismounts and 4 mounts at $10 a piece. And then I spent $14 on a few lug nuts that I was missing. I was missing 6 lug nuts. So the grand total now, we had 800 on the last video, we're at 984. Okay, and in this, while filming this video, I've spent 7 hours working on this truck. I spent 2.5 hours taking the old wheels off, marking plug wires, removing the plugs, and starting to work on making sure the engine would turn over. I then spent about an hour studying the engine wiring and then putting the tires back on the truck after they were mounted on the rims. And today, I spent 3.5 hours trying to get this dang thing started, messing with the starter, pulling the starter out, and then messing with the starter on the bench. So that was a total of 7 hours. So where are we at? That was 5.5 last video plus 7. That's 12.5 total man hours. I don't know what's going to happen next. I think it kind of depends on the starter. If I can get the starter or find a good used one, then we'll keep messing with this. If not, we might have to pivot because I'm not sure. Parts are so hard to find for this engine. I'm not sure it's worth putting money into it to just maybe have this problem again sooner rather than later. So we'll see. I'll tell you this. It is my pet peeve when someone starts a build or whatever you want to call this, a series on a vehicle on YouTube, and they post a video or two and then you never see anything else. You guys have my word. There will be another video on this truck. I don't know what it'll be. It may just be, look, we got to this point and this is it, and we're gonna see if somebody else wants to take it on and do a full resto or what. Or it could be, hey, we're not going with an engine, we're not gonna stick with this engine, but I got another one. I don't know what it's gonna be. But this won't be the last video. There will be another one. Trust me, I wanna see this thing run more than you guys do. This thing is so dang cool. But you know what else is cool? Frank, my 73 Wagoneer. And now that my plans have changed for the weekend, since I don't have a working starter, I'm going to be getting back working on Frank. So if you haven't checked out the Frank build, go ahead and do that. Frank's been getting neglected. It's time for him to get some love now. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button so that you make sure you don't miss the next video. Until then, thanks for watching.